Welcome back, everyone. I am Billy Liucci.
And I'm Amanda Atwell, and this is
Moving Goalposts. And I've got one this week for, doesn't have anything to do with A&M or Texas, but I'm getting sick of a certain group that we'll see tomorrow or tonight after this comes out. They're going to move the goalposts every week between now and the time the playoffs start. So we'll get to that towards the end. But Amanda, let's start out with a shout out to your favorite tequila, my favorite tequila, our favorite tequila, La Casa. Weekends like this, any SEC weekend, I feel like, is a La Casa weekend. Whether you're tailgating, whether you're sitting at home watching the game, no matter.
You're on the beach on a bye week.
Wherever you're at, SEC football requires La Casa because you're either really stressed out and you just need something good to sip on and relax with, or you're ready to party. So either way, La Casa Tequila. My good friend Drake started this a while back, and
I gotta say I'm running low on it. I need some more. I need a refresh. So
we'll get you.
Definitely need that before the game this weekend.
We know somebody. We'll try to get you a little stash for the game. But anyway, speaking of the game, a big one for Texas, the biggest of big games, Texas and Georgia. We'll talk a little bit about another massive game in the SEC, which is OU traveling to Bama. I hope it's okay with the Sooner fans that we talk about that game, because we are.
I don't know if we're allowed. Do we need to get a permission from like King Sooner? Maybe Eddie. Maybe Eddie can give us permission to talk about them, and they'll approve of that.
Eddie will always approve of it, but yeah, some of them I'm not sure if they'll let us do.
We had a missed opportunity of not having him on the show the week Texas played OU, and that's something we will have to do next year, because of all Sooners, Eddie has to be my favorite Sooner. And the list is short of Sooners I like, but he's got to be at the top of it.
Hey, be careful. You've already got one former Big 12 fan base all over you, so we'll talk about that later. But let's not get. I don't think you
Let's talk about a Chihuahua barking in a bag, and we can talk about that Big 12 fan base that is very angry at me this week.
I'm glad. By the way, thanks for just comparing me to the Red Raiders. So I'm the Chihuahua.
Honestly, they can take the title of Chihuahua. You have graduated from Chihuahua. You are no longer the Chihuahua yapping in the bag.
Now I'm a Beagle.
There you go.
Next up is a Golden Retriever. That's my goal here. All right, so let's start off with the game that was actually played this past week. The Aggies and Longhorns kind of alternate bye weeks here. They've been kind of mirror imaging the last few weeks, and now both of them are back in action. But the Aggies traveled to Missouri, Amanda. It was one of those games where A&M's a road favorite. I didn't see a lot of people picking against A&M. I know our friend SEC Mike did, and as a result, he and cousin Shane both had to do an Aggie yell practice.
I love that.
Yeah, if you guys want some entertainment, watch those two trying to do the yells. It was actually pretty funny. And last I checked, I don't know, we'll have to talk to Casey, because everyone's picking against A&M. T-Bob is supposed to do, I think, dress as a yell leader. I think Gruden is supposed to do it and do a yell practice.
I mean, they are brave, because A&M is not a team I'd pick against right now, especially against a Mizzou team who is on quarterback number 3?
Yeah. No, well, I wasn't having that line of logic, even though I don't want to have you pull up where I was criticizing you guys for facing backups last year.
Yeah, and then we didn't face them. You actually pulled up earlier this year how we might face even more backups if Lagway and Mateer didn't play, but look who both played.
Yeah, well, that's point Atwell. But not the third string, the second string. Their first stringer got hurt in like the first quarter of the first game. So this guy's
I thought I saw a second quarterback on the injury list. I didn't know if that was a second or if that was just another quarterback that was injured.
But you were facing a backup QB. It was a little tricky, though, because he threw about 20 passes against Vandy and actually looked pretty good. Threw that Hail Mary that got caught at the 1-yard line that would have forced overtime. So he showed a little, and then you had a bye week to kind of prep him. So it was enough just to kind of make you go, I don't like the idea of this unknown, playing at home, a really good running game, the SEC's number one running back, and one of the SEC's highest-ranked defenses. So it was enough, Amanda, to like go, hey, if the Aggies don't show up ready to play and come out ready to handle business, this could be one of those games that drags into the second half where you're like, damn, it's anybody's game. Credit to A&M coming off of that emotional high against LSU, going into a bye week, traveling on the road for the third straight game, fourth straight week away from Kyle Field. And just, I described it to you as business-like. And I
mean, honestly, I just watched the highlights because, like I said, I was on a beach this weekend, and I had
she doesn't
full
even
plans.
watch the game. She doesn't even watch.
I had full plans to watch these games while I was on the beach, but a certain media deal has gotten in the way of that ability. I generally have to be hooked up to my antenna to be able to watch games right now, and if it goes on much longer, I'll figure out another method. I'm just trying to hold out on buying another streaming service currently.
Tell you what, between that and the government shutdown and the commercial airlines, like what a time for everything to be so.
I did not have a flight canceled this weekend, at least. I did have a 40-minute delay that led to a full-on sprint through the Nashville airport. But we did make the flight, even though the last boarding call was going off when we got off of our connecting flight. So
how'd that knee feel after that sprint?
My knee is currently the size of a softball. The knee surgery in July is not good to run on so quickly. And I'm sure my physical therapist will not be thrilled with me, but we'll get there. We'll be okay.
Well, the Aggies did a lot of running. And I said it was 7-0. It was a game, but you felt like already the Aggies looked like the better team. They just looked kind of methodical with it. And then a huge play, Damian Sanford blast Zollers. Dalton Brooks, who ended up kind of being like the story of the game, picks it off in midair.
Dalton Brooks. That was a name I remembered from working at Dave Campbell's. I was like, I kind of forgot that y'all got him. And that guy is a stud, and kind of the first time really heard his name since he's been with the Aggies. But what I'll say about watching the highlights, because they're fresh on my mind, is it was a slow start, but I think that shift in the momentum right before halftime, it reminded me a lot of the shift of momentum in the Texas OU game right before halftime, just because it was a super slow scoring, slow starting game, Texas OU. Yeah. And then Texas gets a pick to end the first half, and they get the ball back the second half. And that just kind of completely shifts the vibe going into halftime. You feel good about going into halftime. You're doing something right. And I think, I don't know, after that happened, I was like, all right, this game's probably over.
Yeah, and
I wasn't seeing much life from Mizzou offensively.
And I'm gonna tell you what, going back to your Dalton Brooks, he's, I think, one of the really like rapidly improving guys on that A&M defense. So it's been fun to watch him because, like you said, he was kind of a do everything at the little tiniest of levels there at Shiner High School, and he's just each year gotten better. Now he's a junior that's kind of emerging as a real playmaker, particularly like when he's blitzing. He's an assassin off the edge there. But I agree with you. So that game, that play before halftime led to the touchdown. So A&M's up 14-0. You know, if they're only up 7-0, Drinkwitz goes in there at halftime. You tell the team, you're right here in this, blah, 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 blah. Instead, it's 14-0. You know, if you're down 7-0, Mizzou is getting the ball to start the third quarter. You could have been like, we're down 7, we're getting the football. Instead, it was a gut punch right before the break, probably a pretty deflated locker room. It certainly took the wind out of that fan base. And then the Aggies.
That stadium did not sound loud to me.
They took it out. Why? Here's the deal. And
even at the beginning of the game, I was like, "Who is the home team here?" Well, it did not sound loud.
That is
maybe
not.
Because I was just watching the highlights, but
yeah, that is not a. It is only an intimidating environment if you let it be. It reminds me of like, you know, some of those. It is, and they get mad. Missouri fans have when I've said it. It's a Big 12 environment, and that's not an insult. It's just there's less people, and it's one of those
61,000 capacity, so that's different. I mean, like when I turned on the Texas Vanderbilt game, it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. You'd think, and the crowd hasn't fully filled into their seats yet. it sounded so loud still over the broadcast. But this one, I wasn't getting super threatening road environment, and
when your offense
no hate to
sucks.
Mizzou fans. I have nothing against Mizzou whatsoever, but
when your offense sucks and isn't doing anything, and you fall behind 7-0, then 14, and then 21, and that to me is the most impressive thing. I had a national media guy who's covered A&M since I've been doing this, but he's really been, following A&M closely since they went to the SEC. And he texted me this week. He goes, "Hey, I got to see you guys in person for the first time this year." And he was like, "After that performance, I'm convinced you guys can win it all." Now, he didn't say they would, but just a guy that has no ties to A&M. He has told me over the years he's been very skeptical of, the Jimbo hire. And in other words, he's been really honest with me, good, bad, or indifferent. For him to say that, and I think what he saw was just a team that went on the road and just kind of like handled business like an Ohio State would, like just a powerhouse team would do to a ranked team, but not a great team at all. You have a situation at quarterback, then we're going to exploit it, and it's going to be why you're not even competitive with us. Because if you're going to be competitive with us, you better have a really good quarterback and you better be able to score points. And Mizzou wasn't able to do that. So not a lot to say about the way they did it, Amanda, other than it was impressive, 21-0. And then every time Missouri scored, they scored 17, so they had 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Every time Mizzou scored, A&M scored on the very next possession. So they just never gave them a chance. And my other note was I loved what they did offensively. They did a lot like what Texas did with Vandy, and we talked about this a week ago. I'm going to see if your guys can sprint out to the sideline, and are they fast enough to make plays on the perimeter? And if they're not, then we're just going to take what you're giving us. And A&M kept doing that, and they kept throwing quick passes to the tight end. And Mizzou set back with 3 safeties to try to prevent the deep ball. And A&M said, okay, then we just won't throw the deep ball. We'll do this and we'll do that. And then as the game wears on and you get tired of chasing, then we're going to run it at you. And they exploded on the ground in the second half. That's 4-0 on the road this year. 3 of those games were ranked at the time. Again, I go back to our years-long debate. It's like you can definitely find me contradicting, but I do think as you sit here in that week, you call
it a ranked win.
Yeah.
It's a ranked win when you're in the week.
Because in the week, like up until that point, that team has proven to be whatever people think they are. LSU, 2 weeks ago was 5-2, looking to go 6-2 and move into the top 10. And they got smacked into the netherworld and, still have yet to recover from it. So, that win is not going to age well as the season goes on, even in Death Valley. The Notre Dame win will age well.
Unless they can beat OU, which would be interesting. That would be probably pretty good for A&M. I don't know if that happens.
I don't think.
That game's looking less and less challenging. I think the biggest test for OU will be Alabama this week.
Yeah, and Mizzou's not. I think 3 teams were kind of put to bed this weekend, and I think it was Mizzou, LSU, and Florida. I mean, they're done. Florida was already done, LSU, but I'm just saying for the rest of their games, you're not getting the same team. Those 3 teams have quit. Yeah.
My biggest thing with the whole ranking thing is yes, at the time it's a ranked win. You have to call it a ranked win. You have to give the respect of beating a ranked team at the end of the season when the playoff committee is assessing schedules. They're going to take into account how the teams developed over the season.
Yeah.
It would be disingenuous to say, oh, so-and-so beat Florida week 1 when Florida was ranked whatever, and then at the end of the season call that a good win. So,
but you're right. You're totally right. And I also think, look at, say, Penn State, for example. Somebody beat them I guess it was Oregon, and this is what pisses me off about this. Oregon's still, it feels like they moved so high up in the rankings because they beat Penn State when they were number 2.
Yeah.
That, yes, they lost and they dropped some, but they should have dropped even further, but they propped up. So even though you pretend you take that into account, you really don't, because they had moved up so high that your drop wasn't as far as it should have been after your first loss, because people then should have been going, wait, your only win. The committee kind of did that, though, ranking them 9. I will give them credit.
Rankings will never be a perfect art.
I will give the committee credit.
Rankings will never be a perfect art form. I mean, at the end of the day, I said this last year with Texas. I mean, Texas did not have a challenging schedule by any account last year, but you're going to prove it when it matters. You're going to prove it in the college football playoff if you deserve to be there or not. You're going to prove it in the SEC championship game if you deserve to be there or not. And even though Texas lost the SEC championship game, I think they deserve to be there. They looked like a much improved team against Georgia in the SEC championship game, and it was a close game. And it could have been won by Texas pretty easily had, I feel like I've said this 16 times here.
I mean, you just want to fight poor Bert Auburn. All he's doing is sitting there.
I'm sure he's a good kid. I don't want any, I'm never going to be the person that's in a player's DMs, like, you suck, like, whatever, but it's just like, you got to make those things. You got to make those kicks. Those are crucial. And those are, that's SEC championship defining. So
say this.
Very frustrating end, but I think Texas proved that they deserve to be there when it mattered in the college football playoff by winning 2 games. And I think even though A&M it's turned out the bottom half of the SEC on their schedule this year, A&M's going to prove whether or not they deserve to be there when it matters. A&M's pretty much a lock for the playoffs right now. I don't think you're going to lose to Samford. But you're going to prove if you deserve to be there come first round, how you handle first round, how you handle second round, how you progress.
I think this is all, it's because I was talking about it last year, I sit there and we'll kind of wear it this year. A&M, though, they're honestly like kicking the crap out of teams. And
well, that Arkansas game.
No, but still, I wouldn't call it.
Or that Auburn game.
Time out, though. Listen, man, I'm gonna.
But you've developed to where you're playing more at the level of kicking the crap out of teams.
Yes.
You've progressed past that. And the recent memory is more of the kicking the crap out of the teams.
But I'm also going to say this: A&M was a touchdown called back away from beating Auburn by like 13. They tripled them up in yardage, and the same thing with the Arkansas game. That was a 3-point final game. They had a touchdown called back with 4 or 5 minutes left. That would have made it a 17-point game on a terrible.
Yeah, you said that one was similar to Vandy. I wasn't able to watch that one, but I believe you.
It was one where the Razorbacks never once had the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead.
They just made you sweat a little bit.
Yeah. So, but 25 points at LSU, that would have been 32 had it not been for a last-second touchdown. They were up 49-18 in Death Valley, 21-0 against Missouri, won by 21, a 17-point win against Florida, and that was when Florida all 3 of those teams still thought they had something to play for. Florida had just beaten you guys the game prior. Like, all 3 of those teams thought they had something, and A&M has just kind of been smacking them around. So I think watching football and watching this team play and breaking down like strengths, weaknesses, I think the one weakness or concern is like their run defense against a certain style of team. So I think against the Ole Miss type of offense, even the Texas Tech type of offense, the Oregon type of offense where they spread you way, way out and they try to get your linebackers in space and run. If you just try to line up and run conventionally, A&M's done a pretty good to great job. They held Baugh completely in check at Florida. Auburn's running back is going to be a 1,000-yard back. They held him in check. Jeremiah Love might be the best back in the country. I think he had 93 yards on like 24 carries. It's to spread you out and crease you. That's where it's a concern. But I look at this team, and they don't have a glaring weakness. They're good, sometimes great on defense. Their offense we don't talk about enough. They've got a guy that's in the Heisman conversation 9 games in Marcel Reed. They've got 2 exceptional playmakers at receiver and one that's emerging in Ashton Bethel-Roman. They've got a great running back stable, and they're getting Le'Veon Moss back. They say maybe the Texas game. I think if not then certainly.
Oh, I wasn't aware of how Le'Veon Moss was progressing.
Yeah, he should be back. They say they're hopeful for Texas, but I think if not, then certainly A&M's next game, whenever that may be. So you're going to get this running back. Their O-line's great. They've got one of the best pass rushers in the country, the SEC leading sacker. And they're just playing, Amanda, with a hell of a lot of confidence that seems to be growing each week. So are they going to win it? I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to win an SEC title. But they've got a chance to do both. And if you're breaking down odds, I think you say there's Ohio State, and then there's a few other teams. And I think A&M's, right near the top. But like you said, they got to prove it by keeping it going Saturday. But then just like it's very similar, and I want to talk about this because it's something I thought about and it's interesting. I want to hear what you think. It's very similar to Texas last year, in terms of you guys had the one loss. It was to freaking Georgia,
I think the worst game. Texas did not look like Texas that game.
No, and like you said, you bounced back.
Kirby Smart drew up exactly what he needed to draw up that game to. Yeah, and Quinn Ewers' worst game by far.
Yeah, that was probably Georgia's. It's probably their most impressive game last year. They were out for blood that night. But so Texas, you mentioned the comparison of the 2 schedules, and I think that's interesting and fair. A&M had the Notre Dame. You guys had Michigan. Notre Dame's been better, but that would almost be akin to that Georgia game, honestly. We each played like a powerhouse earlier in the season. Texas, I question the schedule, and then it's like, okay, well, they got to end by going to Kyle Field. Then they got to go play in an SEC title game, and then they've got the playoffs, and it's kind of what you just said. A&M's got to end it by going into Austin against a Texas team that I think regardless of what happens against Georgia is still going to have hopes and dreams of a playoff. If they beat,
I don't think the tenacity of the Texas A&M game will change whether Texas loses or beats Georgia. I think it's either way. It's a rivalry game. First time it's been in DKR in how many years?
2010.
Over 10.
2010, yeah.
Was that 2010, so 15 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be a game, and I'm very excited. I'm excited to go. I'm excited to see it at home. I wish I would have gone last year, just because I've never been to Kyle Field at a game that was full force. I went to the one time I've been to a game at Kyle Field was during COVID, and
South
it was
Carolina, right? Is that what you said?
I think it was Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. It was a monolith of a stadium, but it's like it felt like a high school football game where everybody was just kind of spread out, not wanting to sit next to each other.
Yeah.
And it was just very strange environment. I think that was the only college football game I went to that season.
That's the reason I didn't go to Tennessee that year, because I wanted the first time I went to Rocky Top to really experience that Neyland Stadium. Like, and so luckily a couple years later, the Aggies went and played up there. But I skipped that one for that very reason. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to go to a watered down. But anyway, in closing on this A&M thing, we'll go on to the Texas-Georgia conversation. Just a couple things for you. I said they've scored at least 38 points in all 4 road games, and this was basically with A&M taking a knee there inside the 10, just kind of running it up the middle. I kind of wish Aggies would have scored 45. But at least 38 in all 4 road games. And in those games, Marcel has averaged over 300 yards of offense per game with 13 touchdowns versus just 3 turnovers. So he's been playing incredible ball away from home. Here's what I loved in closing about that game. So you go to win, right? And you go, okay, defense gave up about 3 big runs, but check on the defense, check on the offense, check on special teams. They had massive game-changing plays, two 50-plus yard touchdowns, one by run, one by pass. They had a huge special teams play for the second week in a row. Last week it was Concepcion's punt return. This week it was Dalton Brooks in the fake punt. And then defensively, they had the game-changing play that we talked about earlier. So checked all the boxes. It was good to see them come out of that break playing that way, a good win. And now Texas, Amanda, is looking for a for a statement victory, a revenge victory, and one of those in a win that will, I wouldn't say it will punch their ticket to the playoff, but it will put them in a very nice spot. With an opportunity to leave no doubt when they play A&M, or B, even if they don't win that game, if they've beaten Georgia, Oklahoma, Vandy hanging around is big.
Look at the other teams that you would consider putting, like if Texas were to beat Georgia, look at the other teams you would consider putting in the playoff over Texas, and look at their quality of wins. Notre Dame, got the whole Big 12 debacle of a Big 12 deserves two teams in the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not I mean, I don't want to I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
Can I do a rant, though? Can I rant about something in Texas's favor that Longhorn fans might be shocked by?
Go for it.
Where I'll have a problem, and I don't mind, just like you don't mind seeing me squirm, whether it's on this show or whether it's on Twitter, and all your fandom, all your people love seeing it. I also don't mind seeing some misfortune for my rival on the field. But if we're being really honest, if Texas beats Georgia or A&M and finishes 9-3 with a top 5 win, their losses, let's say for the sake of my sanity here as we talk, let's say you guys beat Georgia in Athens and lose to A&M. So your losses would be to number 1 and, quite frankly, probably number 2. If the Aggies beat Texas, I think they will jump Indiana. Indiana plays no one the rest of the way. So your losses will come to number 1 and number 2, most likely in very close games in this scenario, right? 1 and 2, you'll have a win over a team on the road that was top 5 when you went in there to play them, and you'd have a win over an Oklahoma team that I think will be now probably 9-3 and in the top 15. Who knows, though? Maybe they can beat Bama. Wins over OU, team. A win over Vandy, and a win over Georgia, and 2 of your 3 losses are to number 1 and number 2. Okay, now file that away, and then you're going to have – this is what pisses me off. And now you guys know what would make me mad about the Big 12 when I was in the SEC. So now you're feeling – I feel like we should sit in therapy, you and I, and then like have Longhorns and Aggies watch it and have a moderator
especially
talk.
Now with the Big 12 is measurably worse now than it has been over the past couple of years.
Well, you took out, obviously, Texas and OU. And Oak State falling off a cliff has not helped.
Yeah, that's another big factor, I think.
But my point is this. You now see this SEC, and you realize, damn, if we go 9-3 on a schedule that includes the SEC plus Ohio State, where Texas Tech is ranked right now, because everyone's kissing their ass and they're scared to like put the microscope on Tech's schedule like they're doing to the teams that Ohio State even has played, and Indiana also, and A&M.
Look at their loss. Look at their loss to Arizona State.
Yeah.
Do not sit here and tell me that is a better loss than a loss to Florida.
Arizona State, who lost
if we're comparing losses, they're both bad losses.
Arizona State, who lost to Mississippi State. And then when your 2 wins have not come from teams your 2 signature wins have not come from teams outside of the state of Utah, I'm sorry. I know the Utes. I can go back and I remember them putting it on A&M with Urban Meyer and Alex Smith back in the day. BYU, I've seen the Aggies lose to BYU to a damn quarterback that threw for 500 yards by the name of Steve Sarkisian. God, that made me sick just saying it. But
that's a crazy circle around
nothing
moment.
Against the state of Utah football, but
It's the
it
state
ain't
of
like
Utah
they're necessarily playing in teams throughout the southeastern footprint of the country. So those are your two signature wins. But here's the bigger picture point to me. Because they have moved up by beating these type teams that they're beating, while Texas is slugging it out each week in the SEC and in Columbus, Ohio. If Tech goes to the Big 12 title game and loses to BYU, there will be a big debate on whether or not, and it might end up being a 9-3 Texas versus an 11-2 Texas Tech.
Can you imagine the toxicity?
And while you guys are going to Athens, Georgia this weekend, and then you're playing Arkansas and their high-scoring offense, whatever, but it's still like it's a really good SEC offense. Nationally, it's a good offense. But when you're playing in Athens and you're playing number 3 Texas A&M in you're playing number 5 and number 3, number 5 on the road in 2 of your last 3 games. You know who Tech's got left? Tech's got Central Florida and West Virginia. And that's it. And so if they lose a Big 12 title game and they try to say, well, BYU or whoever, and now they're auto bid, and Texas Tech at 11-2, if they got in over Texas, the only reason it would be is because Texas played Ohio State. And if they would have played Western Illinois or whoever, or Oregon State.
But you don't want to play those games. Those games make the sport worse. And you know what makes the sport worse? Texas Tech scheduling those types of games and ending the season in arguments like this. As long as Texas Tech continues to schedule cupcakes in the offseason, as well as the cupcakes they have in conference, I can't take it seriously. I can't take it seriously.
So my point is, keep your eye out for that. And it might be where they both get in, where there's still room for that. But if I
would love to play Texas Tech in the playoffs.
I would love to.
That would feed families.
I would like to sit back and just watch that. Watch y'all, watch you. You'd be like a damn gladiator going into the Coliseum every time you waded into Twitter. It'd be like.
I don't think they could keep stuff off the field if Texas played Texas Tech in Lubbock. I mean,
that would make the Chris Beard game look like child's play.
I've said this before, but I never realized that how much Texas Tech, it was like a one-sided beef for the longest time. I never realized how much Texas Tech disliked Texas until I moved to the Panhandle or West Texas or whatever you want to call it, because apparently that's a big debacle now.
Delineation,
There were plenty of people in Amarillo who referred to Amarillo as West Texas when I lived there. And if you're sitting here trying to say Amarillo is a whole hell of a lot different than Lubbock, I got some waterfront property in Oklahoma to sell you. So
shall we talk about this?
We can go into this before we go into
let's go into that, and we'll talk. I want to break down Texas and Georgia a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about it, because for once I was not the one in your crosshairs. I was not the one on Twitter feeling the wrath of Amanda. It was
you were laughing in the
I was sitting back,
comment section.
Yeah, I was sitting back, just sifting through the comments, going, "Oh my gosh, this is hilarious!" And all you did was what? My man Josh Pate tweeted,
"How can you not be romantic about West Texas? Specifically romantic." Those were his words. And so I quote tweeted it, and this was just off cuff. I'm sitting on the beach. I'm chilling. I'm having a great time.
Probably a couple of glasses of wine.
I said, try living there. Because if you guys don't know, I was a sports anchor in Amarillo, Texas for 2.5 years. Being in Amarillo, Texas, biggest fan base, Texas Tech. So I cover Texas Tech games very frequently. I think I covered them for a good 3 seasons through the Cliff Kingsbury transition. I was in Lubbock a lot. You can consider Amarillo West Texas. You can consider it the Panhandle Plains. I've seen a lot of people lump Lubbock into the Panhandle Plains. Mm-hmm. It's all pretty dang similar out there. I don't dislike Amarillo. I don't dislike. Well, I could say I dislike Lubbock. My problem with Lubbock is that Lubbock did not have a reason for existing other than a college. If you're an adult and you're having to find something to do in Lubbock, you're hard pressed to find anything that doesn't involve college kids. And you're hard pressed to find bars that aren't skewed towards college kids that are normal. So yes, I did not.
So you might want to be married up there. That would probably help.
Yeah.
Married with a family. Yeah.
Young adult. The Lubbock Hinge is not a great place to be, guys. It's not. It's bleak. It's a bleak environment almost as much as a dusty landscape. The one time I was in Lubbock and just trying to have a fun weekend, we're sitting at a brewery outdoors. There's a haboob coming through, and I end up with a layer of dirt on top of my beer. And
a haboob.
Haboob. Do you know what a haboob is?
I know what a haboob is. I just wanted to say haboob. I hear you say haboob.
I did not know what
times.
a haboob is.
It's
before
a dust storm, right? A sandstorm.
I did not know what a haboob was before I moved to the Panhandle. I lived on the westernmost edge of Amarillo. There was nothing beyond my apartment complex. Fortunately, I was a building in because the building that was on the most western edge, they constantly had dust seeping into their apartments that they could not get rid of. Okay. That is what it's like living up there.
Can I say?
I saw a tumbleweed the size of my Honda Civic living up there. I thought I was going to be taken out by a tumbleweed.
So
I'm so sorry. I do not consider that part of the state romantic. They have great sunsets, very nice people. You can find I had some great beef while I was up there.
Yeah.
Great steaks. Do not consider it romantic. I'm so sorry and a lot of people took a lot of offense to me not considering Lubbock, Texas romantic.
But yet 30,000 people. But yet 30,000 people liked it.
Even a lot. The normal people from Lubbock were like, "Yeah, if I didn't have a family here, this wouldn't be my prime spot to live." Which that's a normal response.
So you're not going to be hired by the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce anytime soon. We've definitely determined that.
And yeah, we also had some former Lubbock colleagues that were commenting on it, not too thrilled. A colleague that was never very kind to me while I was there.
Can I say something here? This is my thing. As an observer and as your friend, I didn't feel like that bad for you because I'm like, okay, she's doing what I do. She's trying to be funny and rile people up, just say something witty and let people laugh about it. And you also meant it. Like, I don't find Lubbock to be like the most romantic place.
I didn't hate living in Amarillo. Didn't find it romantic at all.
So my thing is this. People get so defensive about what you say about where they live that it makes me laugh because let's talk about where I live. I live in College Station, Texas. People just think.
You can talk about where I live. People hate Dallas. And you know what? If you hate Dallas, I don't care. Don't come here. That's one less car on I-35 East.
And I love
There's one less car on 75. And also, I don't consider Dallas that romantic. But you know what's here? Jobs.
Yeah.
Really good restaurants. I'm happy with it.
This thing's come full circle for me because when I stayed here, when I started this thing, and I didn't leave, everybody's like, oh, wow.
College Station is a better college town than Lubbock. I said it.
Come on. It's not, to me, it's not even close. What I like
you have a better proximity to real cities. You can get to an airport that's a major airport that has direct flights within a couple of hours. You're not driving 4.5 hours to get to a major airport.
What I think of Lubbock is if you went to school there, and I know plenty of people that did, you loved it because you were out there in your own bubble, and I don't mean that.
I get that.
And you stayed out there with your crew, and all your friends stayed, and everybody stayed. And, I think it probably bonded a lot of those people, and they were great years for them there.
I don't have a single friend from Tech that still lives there. Not a single one.
Well,
there were a lot of people from my high school that went to Texas Tech. I do not know a single one that stayed in Lubbock. I know a lot of people that stayed in Austin that went to UT.
Here's my thing, Amanda. You can, and people can criticize Austin, and people that live there love it, and you can criticize Dallas, like you said. But College Station, it reminds me of kind of like what people took what you said as. They go, oh, you live in College Station? Wow, what's that like? Well, I'm going to tell you what it's like. I got sports here every freaking day. high-level college athletics. I've got people that come in town every single weekend, if not every week, every day, to come, whether it's to a basketball game, a baseball game, football, or for business or whatever. I'm smack dab in the middle of Houston, Dallas, and Austin, where I'm pretty much there.
It's such
By
a
the
better
way,
proximity
I'll bring you your
to other
La Casa.
places.
I'll bring you your La Casa this week because I'm coming up there to get a haircut and to shop, and I'll be back that night to continue
It's not a bad
working.
drive. It's not a painful drive. I've done it. I did it a couple weeks ago. It was super easy. That drive to West Texas, that is not a fun drive.
But my point, yeah, it's a miserable drive. My point is this. Don't get offended by what Amanda Atwell making a little quip on a tweet that, by the way, it wasn't that inflammatory.
It's not personal.
Like to the point that you say some of the things they were saying to you, it actually pissed me off at them. And I'm like, dude, like, you when you make that tweet, you know what's coming. So I didn't feel bad for you, but I'm also like, there's the idiots that always take it too far. And it's like, dude, I spend the last 20 years hearing people go, oh, you live in College. Yeah, College Station that gets better and better year after year. And more of my friends move here with their families. And
the
who
one
cares?
Girl that was like, this sounds like somebody who's never set foot in West Texas. Like, honey, I wouldn't have said try living there if I hadn't tried it.
Did you call her girly pop?
I mean,
you're so like Gen Z or whatever. What is that?
It's a little sarcastic quip, but yeah, like, I mean, I've lived there. That's why I said it. You can Google, is Amarillo considered West Texas? ChatGPT thinks it is. So I don't know.
How mad would Peyton get if one time she said something to me and I was like, all right, okay, girly pop. How much trouble? 1 to 10.
Laugh because she's a normal person. She's not a psycho who gets overly offended when somebody doesn't think their little crappy college town is romantic. Like,
so you just did it again. You can't help yourself.
You know what?
I can't protect you.
They deserve it. They deserve it at this point for how. And the thing is, the people that I met and I loved that were in Lubbock, in Amarillo, a lot of them responded and were like, come on, you know you liked it here, or like, haha, like, come, like, we still love you. Those are normal people.
Can I say this about Lubbock? I've liked every visit I've made there. It's fun. We all make our choices. Those Lubbock people might think you're nuts for living in College Station. Yeah, whatever you think, that's fine. Stay out there, have your fun. I think that was a badass atmosphere for game day, for the game. I applaud them for doing that. I applaud, like I've said before.
It looked like a fun game.
Yeah, I applaud like Cody Campbell
outside of the game
for what he's trying to do there and what he's done in terms of like them just saying, hey, we're not going away. We're not letting you push us out of the sport. We're buying our way into the club. My thing is, with Texas Tech buying their way into the club, that's great. You should. It sucks that they're stuck in the Big 12 and they're not in the SEC for them.
They can stay there.
I don't care for me, but for them it sucks. But if you're walking in the club, the door people, a.k.a. the media, the college football media, hold them to the same standard, the same dress code. You're not coming in here with shorts, just like A&M couldn't and Texas couldn't and OU couldn't. And you're not coming in shorts. In other words, we're going to critique your schedule too. And we're not going to not do that because, you're trying to break barriers out there in Lubbock.
And the thing is, they know the potential weakness of their conference schedule, yet they still choose to not schedule challenging non-conference games. That is, if you want to sit here and say, oh, you can't critique our schedule, blah, 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 we're winning games. Schedule decent opponents like Texas does, like Texas A&M does, like Ohio State does, like Michigan does, like OU does. Schedule the non-conference opponents that are going to add to your strength of schedule. Amen. Instead of sitting there and scheduling Western Kentucky.
All right, enough.
Okay,
enough about Lubbock. I love my Red Raider friends. I am a big fan of Joey McGuire, although I don't think he should pick fights with Notre Dame for not being in a conference when their schedule is infinitely harder than Tech's.
Joey McGuire's a good guy, but that was not my favorite move of his.
I like what Campbell's doing, and I love the excitement and fervor over that football program right now out there in West Texas, not the Panhandle. But I will close with this. Just shut up and stop being so sensitive about it. Period. It was a comment.
I mean, they're prickly, so maybe that's
true.
Their purpose to be
and
sensitive.
And don't be so tough on Twitter when people say mean things, not mean or perceived mean. You're not scaring everyone by coming out and dropping F-bombs and talking shit to people. You're not.
Yeah, and saying weird. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just some of the weirdest comments. Y'all can go scroll through those if you want a little laugh.
Yeah, I suggest if you have time, go look. It's pretty wild. It gives you
I didn't even have time to scroll through all of them.
Peek into Twitter. Okay, let's get back to Texas and Georgia before we go to some SEC stuff. You're going to get major pieces of that secondary back this weekend, right?
Yes. So Taft should return. Sark talked about it in his press conference today. Jelani McDonald went out in the Vandy game. The end of that Vandy game, for any of our A&M fans who may have not watched, the last quarter, I think Texas was missing the 4 starters in the secondary. It was, the biggest thing was the communication aspect that was missing from the leadership in that secondary. So getting those pieces back should be pretty critical, especially in a game like this on the road. Wingo, he also went out early. I think he went out after the first quarter. He went out pretty early in that Vanderbilt game. And it looked like, I think he just dislocated his thumb because they showed it. I don't know if you saw it. They showed it on the broadcast.
Yeah.
And it looked gnarly, but they said he could have gone back in later in the game. So I guess they probably just popped it back into place, and he's good and he should be fine. But with Georgia, it looks like they played Mississippi State last week. Looks like they're peaking at the right time right now. The biggest thing here is this a trap game for Georgia? Because, this is a different Georgia team than it was last year. They're still a very good team. Texas is a different team than they were last year. When they're putting it all together, they can be a really good team.
I don't think trap. I might say, is Georgia, do they get a little overconfident having beaten Texas twice last year? I think that would be obviously a big mistake because up until – look, I think they did look the best they've looked all year against Mississippi State, but the rest of their SEC games have been very competitive into the fourth quarter.
I would have much rather them played really well against Mississippi State than be coming off of a disappointing performance and needing to prove themselves again.
I agree.
That's best case scenario.
This is such a big – so, yeah, Georgia looked good. The guy I missed on, I said it to you last week, Gunnar Stockton's been a lot better than I thought, even as a passer, but just he's a dude, and their running game is really starting to get going. Hell, even Noah Thomas, the former Aggie, he had a long touchdown this week. He's starting to become a part of the offense. They've got great receivers. They've got an impact game changer from USC, and then they've got Bell, who's a veteran there. They've got tight ends, Delp, and they got their offense. Bobo has done a terrific job this year, but I will say, without question, Texas is the best defense they will have faced this year. And they haven't always lit up the scoreboard.
Including Alabama with that?
Yeah, I am. And we'll talk about Alabama in a minute. But, yeah, I am. I think this is maybe I shouldn't say by far then, but I'm convinced it's the best defense Georgia will have faced. It's going to be really interesting because I think Georgia's offense, I know their offense is better than their defense right now. And I don't know if we've ever said that under Kirby Smart. So this is not.
Which makes, it makes me feel a little bit better. I will say, if the O-line can have some continuity from Vanderbilt, they played the best they've ever played against Vanderbilt. And I think they found something with Connor Robertson sticking at center and Cole Hudson moving out to that left guard position. And Sark said it was just about getting the best 5 players on the field. Arch says he feels confident with them in the positions they are at now, which is the biggest thing. Arch is obviously confident with taking a hit. He's taken plenty of them this season so far. He's gotten rattled quite a bit, but he had the least pressures he's had all season against Vanderbilt. It was like a night and day difference. So if they can continue that on the road, that will be a big progression from what we have seen with this team who has not played well on the road this year thus far. I mean, you got those 2 wins at Mississippi State and Kentucky. They weren't fun wins.
Yeah.
You played awful against Florida until that fourth quarter where Arch tried to do it all himself and bring them back. But yeah, I think it's definitely a proving grounds. I don't even know necessarily if it's a proving grounds for Arch. I think it's a proving grounds for, can this team put together 4 quarters of their best football at once? Because, I mean, you saw 3.5 quarters of pretty much their best football against Vanderbilt, and then you see Vanderbilt go on a, 20-some point run in the second half of the fourth quarter. So I think the key is just going to be preventing Georgia from those explosive plays as well, which has been an issue. I think the biggest thing for the defense has been great on the run defense, but the pass protection has not been as great. So I think getting those key players in the secondary back will be pretty critical as well. So,
Georgia,
I mean,
it's so fascinating, man. Georgia doesn't really get after the quarterback. They aren't making a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage, and that's what led to them destroying.
I was about to say, looking at their sack numbers, it doesn't look
and
like
that was how that's how
pressure.
They destroyed y'all in Austin in that game. It was the pressure. It was getting to Ewers and putting a physical pound.
Watch that change this game.
They're not. So to me, this is the deal. This is obviously a massive game for Sark. Look, what you guys don't. I don't think anyone in Burnt Orange is thinking this right now, but only one of the 2 teams can be Texas 8-4 this year. And my God, would I love to see it just from that standpoint. But you could also be 3-time in a row playoff Texas. Like, that is what is hanging in the balance in these 3 weeks.
Every single week you ask, you ask Peyton, I need to know that you're cheering for A&M this week. I know you are never actually cheering for Texas, so why in the hell
I am
would
when
you
it helps. I am when it helps.
I may pick A&M because I pick who I think is going to win the football team. I'd be happy if I was wrong on that pick. I will sacrifice that pick. I pick who I think is going to win the football game because
I try to get y'all to root if there's
I love to see good players succeed.
Yeah.
I wish they weren't in maroon.
I feel you.
I love to see, Marcel Reed's a good kid. Wish he wasn't an A&M player.
Yeah,
but I hope good things for him, but sometimes I just hope some not good things would happen.
You want to see interceptions from time to time. I get it.
Maybe an interception here and there.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm the same way. There have been Texas players where you either go, damn, I just got to respect them. They're that good. Or you just that guy's a really likable football player. I always reference the one that it was just impossible. Aggies, some might disagree with me, but Colt McCoy was kind of in that cut from that mold. But so with that said, when y'all do win, at least I'm happy for you guys. And my Texas
I can be happy for you that you're.
It doesn't mean I wanted it to happen.
You're having some joy after so many years. I know how it feels to go so many years thinking your team just sucks. Nothing's improving. Nothing's going to change from year and years. That was my college experience and post-college experience for a long time of just you'd have a pretty good year where after the Sugar Bowl where we beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, we think we're going in the right direction again. And then we're not.
Yeah.
And so I know how that feels, and I know how it feels to finally get over the hump. So I'm always happy when a friend is happy because their football team's finally doing good, because I know the joy that brings. I just wish it wasn't A&M.
Well, the good news is your team has a chance to do something about it. But again, Texas could be Texas 8-4, or they could be 3-time in a row playoff participant.
It's Texas 8-4 is because y'all are Texas A&M.
I get it.
So the little play on makes sense.
I get it.
We are the University of Texas, so the play on doesn't make sense.
It would make perfect sense because it would just be like hey, have this nickname from us for a year, my friends.
Hey, actually,
you've been yapping.
We'll gift you this one for now.
No, you won't. You're going to fight not to. I know that.
I mean, at least, after that Florida game, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than for a little
Yeah,
bit.
I agree.
So at least we're at the point now where there's some optimism, and it's kind of fun to watch this team crawl back from just so much noise, so much. I don't think there's ever been so much media noise towards a specific player. I'm sure there's been some towards a team, and I'm just not thinking about it. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. But the Arch factor, the coming off of losing to OU in the Cotton Bowl and being rated number one, just the media hype, and then just you're up so high and they're propping you up and then you get down so low. And the fact that they've been able to crawl back from that down so low without just completely letting the season go, I can respect that in some sense, at least.
Let's, by the way, speaking of the comments, the YouTube, we talked last week about your comments.
Billy's not happy with you Aggies. He's not happy with
the
some
Aggies,
of his fans.
some of the ones that are have crowned you and they're just
it's Aggies. Some of them are Aggies that are sitting there.
I know.
Come on, Billy, fight for us a little.
That's why I don't like the fact that you've got this group that has they're now willingly saying that you've gotten the best of it. I'm like, what's happened this week? She hasn't done anything. I mean, it's been a good level.
You can admit that I'm kind of likable and kind of witty if you can just have a sense of humor.
Amanda, I want everyone to know you like I do, and they will not be nearly as offended when you say stuff, and they will just realize when she says it.
They would meet me in person and be like, oh, yeah, she's actually not that bad.
My thing is this. If you're right, I think I've proven. If you're right, I admit it, and I will eat crow, and I will take my medicine, but
sometimes I have to remind you a couple times that you've made this point over and over again and you've been disproven over and over again. So we're just going to, it's kind of like when I have to tell Grant where a kitchen appliance is. And I tell him once, and he did this yesterday. He was making margaritas with La Casa.
There you go.
And I'm out and he's like, where's the lime squeezer? I told him 3 times where the lime squeezer was. I come home and you know what's on the counter? The orange squeezer, because he couldn't find the lime squeezer, even though I had told him multiple times. It's kind of equivalent. It's you tell a man something so many times, it's like, I need you to make eye contact with me and remember this moment. This is where this is, or this is wrong, and we're going to establish this right here.
So there's certain Aggies in the comments that think that you have made eye contact and established it, but I'm here to tell them and you that I don't go down that easily. But
at least going to remember where the lime squeezer is.
Yes, and well, I mean, there are certain things that I will remember not to tweet about anymore. But for those in the comments, I know there's one guy though that's dead serious. He is very bothered by your success rate in these exchanges. It has really got him flustered. The other one, you can tell by he's just joking around, but I don't want a narrative formed, so I will be coming for you if A&M has a good stretch here. I'm just warning you. A&M
has had a good stretch, and I think the problem is that I'm willing to admit when A&M is really good. I'm not going to sit here and gaslight you and tell you actually that Marcel Reed might be a little questionable. He threw 1 interception last game or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you they look good. I'm going to tell you that the tools Marcel Reed has this year look measurably better than what he had last year. Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, they're impressive every single game to me.
Yeah. Well, let me wrap up the Texas thing with my quick take on that. Arch, Sark, this offensive line. Go out and prove it. It looks like you're improving. Here comes the test. It's on the road. It's against a really good Georgia team that is worthy of the ranking, what they've done in the last few weeks. But they are more vulnerable than they were last year. You can win that football game.
I got to say,
go out there and take it. Prove it. Go show this improved O-line. Go show that Arch is not just doing it against lesser teams and go, no, he just went and won in Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia against Kirby Smart,
I think this might be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be the first game in a long time where really Texas is the underdog and everyone is not, people aren't picking Texas into this one. The spread's bigger than you would think.
Yeah.
It's really the first game in a long time where nobody's really expecting them to win this game.
Yeah.
Even within the own fan base, you already hear them, can we get into the playoff 9-3? It's like they're already writing off a loss on this game. Yeah. And I think they're writing off a loss on this game and a potential win against A&M because you have the upper hand with Texas being at home with A&M.
Yeah, it's an advantage.
I think that's the only reason why. If it was at Kyle Field, I think people would be thinking that Texas is finishing 8-4.
And then, so we're going to make our picks here in a minute. As far as A&M goes, they've got South Carolina this weekend. Here's the deal. South Carolina, and you heard Elko kind of talk about it today, they kicked A&M's ass last year up there in Columbia. Le'Veon Moss gets hurt. South Carolina had probably the second or third best defense in the SEC. It was Texas, Georgia, and really South Carolina was right up there. They have fallen on hard times this year. Sellers ran roughshod over A&M. He's still a great football player. He is still every bit as hard to tackle. He's got a great receiver in Nick Harbor, who's a physical freak. Dylan Stewart is as good as any. He might be like Myles Garrett. Like we talk about Cassius Howell and we talk about Colin Simmons. Dylan Stewart is probably the guy that will get drafted the highest of those three. He's that good. So there's plenty there for South Carolina. They should have beaten Alabama a couple weeks ago. They completely melted down so Mississippi State could melt down about an hour later.
That was at home. So
yeah, and they are much better at home.
There.
You're right, and they're a much better team at home. But new offensive coordinator during a bye week, kind of hard to know what you're going to get out of them when they come here. But again, it's a game at home that Texas A&M should be really amped for. There's some payback involved there, and I think the Aggies should figure it out and get it done.
I'd only call this. You have trap game written down. I'd only call this trap game if it was at South Carolina.
Yeah,
I don't think that should be an issue for. Well,
A&M's won every game that everybody says is a trap too. So I think they've proven like, hey, we can week to week this thing and focus on what's there. And then it's Samford. So they're one home win away, Amanda, from setting up the mother of all showdowns in Austin that we're both planning to be.
I was about to say there was no college game day in Athens this week, and I think they're just saving it for.
No, because they don't do Fridays. So unfortunately,
that is malpractice for that not to be a college game day game.
Absolutely.
Honestly, but
and then the final thing is, look, Texas. If A&M wins at 11-0, which we'll go ahead and give them Samford after that. If they're 11-0, I think the win against Missouri all but clinch the playoff. The win against South Carolina a win Saturday would put them at 11-0, which means A, you're going to Austin for a chance to play for your first ever SEC title, and B, I don't think the Aggies would drop below like a 5 seed. If they lost to Texas and missed the SEC title game, that's an 11-1 team.
Is there a scenario where they lose to Texas and miss the SEC title game?
Oh, yeah. A&M, it's weird, Amanda, because last year the Aggies—
I haven't really looked at all the scenarios because I feel like they're pretty weird this year.
So I'll tell you, last year A&M would have gotten in at 9-3, had they beaten Auburn or had they beaten Texas. Either one of those, they'd have gotten in at 9-3. This year they will not they could, but they probably wouldn't get in at 11-1. They have to go 12-0.
That's interesting.
To get in because Ole Miss
could
is
Texas
probably
get in at 10-2 and A&M not get in at 11-1.
Yes.
That's wild.
Because they'd both be 7-1 in the conference. There'd probably be some kind of three-way tie.
Yeah, conference records, duh. Because Texas only has one loss in conference.
Ole Miss is going to probably have one loss. Georgia or Texas, if you're going on a scenario of if Texas beat A&M, Georgia or Texas would have one loss. And then Alabama would have 0 or 1 probably. So it's just a mess. But the way to get there is to win out if you're A&M. But if they didn't, I think at 11-1, the worst they'd be seated in the final CFP standings would be 5th at 11-1, and they would probably that would mean you're getting the G5 team at home.
Pretty much a bye.
There's a nice there would be a significant win to go get this
nice
weekend.
Practice game.
Let's go real quickly around the country because I think we've hit most of this now. We talked about Georgia. All right. We'll just hit 2 things.
Billy's still questioning Bama, his preseason favorite to win the SEC.
Yeah, I'm moving the goalposts. I'm moving them, though, based on information, right?
Based on the information you now have that you did not have at the beginning of the season. We can accept that move. Let's call that a moving target.
Yeah, because it is. And by the way.
Well, I guess that's kind of the same thing as moving a goalpost.
My preseason pick is number 4 in the country and undefeated in the SEC. I just don't think. I don't think they can run the ball very well. I don't think they're
at least you didn't have Clemson as your preseason favorite to win it all because I think some people did.
I had them pretty high. I was a big Klubnik guy. I was a big Penn.
Didn't you have Penn State pretty high too?
I may have had them 1, Amanda.
I mean, you're not the only one. It's not. We all were duped by a couple teams.
I think I had them number 1, but Alabama, to me, they don't run the football real well. I don't think their O-line's that great. Their defense isn't hearkening back to the Nick Saban defenses, even though it's good. It's not unstoppable, elite. I just don't – look, you watch them against like opponents. At Mizzou, they win 27-24. They played LSU this week. It was a struggle for them to get to 20 points at home. They won that one 20-9. Luckily, they kept – LSU having to settle for field goals. Bama has been super impressive to me in one game this year, and it was the one at Georgia. And
Tennessee. Tennessee was pretty.
But I think Tennessee stinks. And I think that they threw that pick 6, 100 yards. It changed the whole game, or that one would have been down to the wire. This Bama team, I give them credit for winning. But what cracks me up is that everybody has taken everybody's taken the Florida State game and they just get rid of it. They're like, oh, that never happened. It's literally like people are acting like losing to a team that's 1-5 in the ACC and getting your ass whipped never happened. It's crazy to me when people are talking about resumes and you're going, well, Indiana's only played. Look at the record.
Could you equate that to Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois last year where – it was just a really bad start to the season, and then you kind of figure it out as it goes.
Yeah, but you're right. And they played for the title, Notre Dame did. That one was worse.
My thing is, yes, that's a bad loss, but I think you have to also judge it on how the team progresses throughout, because the team does get better as the season goes on. You've seen that with A&M. There were some you were pretty nervous after some of that run defense against some of your non-conference opponents early on.
Yeah.
But you've seen A&M get better week in and week out and be more consistent in areas that were not great. And I think you have to give credit where it's due to. I don't think today A&M would lose to Florida State. Mm-hmm. I don't think they would.
You mean Bama?
A&M,
yeah.
Alabama would lose to Florida State. There is a point to where you can look at the head-to-heads of who has beat each team by more. I think would you consider Alabama LSU more of a rivalry or less of a rivalry than A&M LSU?
Oh, it's more. It's definitely more, but I think this year that LSU wanted that A&M game the most because obviously Brian Kelly did.
I don't know. They seem pretty because that was still when they had Brian Kelly.
Yeah, maybe they quit on him.
Hell-bent on wanting him out of there.
That's
and
true.
Realizing that you might have to take an L to get there.
Yeah.
But I think you need to give credit to where Alabama has grown. I can see where you think they might not be the best team in the SEC.
I'm just eyeball testing, and I agree with their ranking. Of course, you need to put them above Georgia. They won at Georgia. They're both one-loss teams. I'm just saying, when we're trying to determine what kind of team they are, I think people need to factor that in, and I think people need to factor how some of these games have gone when you're watching them. When you're watching them play, they're just not quite doing it for me in terms of I think somebody could get him. And
that being said,
I don't think it's OU, but it might be.
I think they beat OU. The thing is, I picked them earlier in the season to beat Vanderbilt. I didn't think they were losing to Vanderbilt 2 years straight. I don't think they're losing to OU 2 years straight.
That's a good point. Real quickly, Pavia, whether you like it or not, Atwell, he has forced his way back into the Heisman conversation.
I just don't. I don't know.
He played.
Still.
Here's my take. The way he played in bringing them back against y'all, fell in just short. What he did against a good Auburn defense, I mean, he had 450, 460
Well, the thing is,
yards.
the refs also, I hate to be that person, the refs gifted him a comeback in that Texas game in a lot of capacity.
They gifted Vandy, but he still had to make those throws and those runs and compete. Like, I'm just saying,
one of those throws was to a completely wide open receiver on blown coverage. You can't act like that's the most amazing thing you've ever seen. Could have made that throw.
Hey, you know who you sound like? You sound like some of my fans when Arch is throwing that 75-yard screen, so you better watch it. I mean, he just threw it to the sideline. The receiver did all.
Well, yeah, it's not a great throw, but it gets what it – I don't want to say not a great throw. It's a complete pass, but the legs get it where it needs to go. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it's the throw at the end of the Indiana game. It wasn't amazing.
Speaking of, here I got a take on Mendoza and Indiana. They went and so A&M went and played a ranked team on the road. And if you want to say, well, they didn't have the quarterback. Okay, then they did it a week before against LSU. They won 49-24. They won by 25. They won by 21. Indiana goes on the road and plays a 4-win Penn State team with an interim head coach.
You know what? I was really hoping for the chaos of them losing that game.
I was too.
I'm sure you were, because A&M would have been ranked. Honestly, after that game, my rankings have A&M at number 2. I don't think Indiana deserves to be number 2 after going toe-to-toe with Penn State.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And they won it in a miracle. And Mendoza was not good the whole game. Then he has a miracle drive and the miracle catch. So now it's his Heisman moment. It is funny how the reason that was set up is because he was playing so poorly on the road that they blew a lead. So I just find it ironic. And that leads me, I guess we'll skip some stuff here. We're running long, so we'll skip some stuff. It leads me to my moving goalpost this week.
Mm-mm.
If you're the college football playoff committee, tonight, when they do this, just be consistent. Like, if you were nitpicking A&M for something, do the same thing to Indiana. In fact, do the same thing to Ohio State. And I'm not saying they're not the best team right now, but Indiana if A&M and Indiana were separated by this, and Indiana went on the road and struggled, and you pointed out, not you, but the committee pointed out the Arkansas game from earlier in the year, then do the same thing with the Penn State game. And when A&M recovers and goes on the road and beats the brakes off of 2 ranked teams in a row that were in your playoff top 25, a team that you, the committee, deem number 22, and they go beat them by 21 points, make the flip. And keep that same consistency on things like I talked about earlier when you're talking about whether it's Notre Dame, Miami, whether it's Texas OU, whether it's Texas and Tech, if it's Oregon, and if it's Oregon versus a 2-loss SEC team, really look into that and go, who the hell has Oregon played? Well, they beat Penn State. Okay. Is that all? Well, they beat Iowa. Okay, well, we'll give them that one now. Look at this 10-2 SEC team. Look what they've done. Hold everybody to a uniform standard, and I think we'll get a test of that this week, exactly like you said.
I do think they have done better than the AP poll, which isn't saying much. So
yeah,
at least looks a little better than the AP poll.
Yeah, I think this week will be telling. It will be how far do they drop BYU, because I thought they looked like ass. And if you're watching football.
I didn't mention this earlier. So I didn't get to watch the games this weekend. So I just watched the highlights of Mizzou A&M. And then right after I watched the highlights of Tech BYU, I thought Tech and BYU were playing in slow motion compared to what I watched from the A&M Mizzou game.
Yeah.
It looked, when you watch them, I mean, maybe you go do that, watch some of the highlights from your game and then turn on the Tech BYU highlights.
Yep.
It just looked like an entirely different pace of football. Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, you like to talk a lot about schedule strength with Big 12 teams.
Not anymore, Amanda. You've won. It's over. And I don't want to now anyway, do I?
But at least, I mean, you like to talk. You were so confident on Texas not being ready for the SEC because they were a dominant Big 12 team coming in.
Hey, can I tell you something?
At least one of the two schools actually prepared for their first year in the SEC last year.
You know how we have battles? There's battles, and then there's the war. You won the schedule smack talk war last week. So I'm surprised there's not like a trophy back there.
I didn't make like a nice little collage of when I have never heard somebody talk about their rival schedule so much. So I went and just like looked back. I think I found like 10 to 12 tweets of Billy just about Texas's schedule from the beginning of the last season till now.
Can you do me a favor and not don't get bored this week?
I'll just send them all to Fran and she'll build me a collage.
Oh, she collaged the other one of me white flagging last week. I said, don't post that. And sure enough, she did. She couldn't help herself. But yeah, I was like white flag, help that little GIF with
that's in your favorites, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bear in its back. So moving on, speaking of battles, we are in one, and so you're ahead week to week. You are now up, though, because I think I won this week. We can go back and recount.
I need to double check.
Yeah, we need to double check.
You count these every week, so I'm putting a lot of trust into you here.
That's true. Well, they're documented, but yeah, you could fact check me. But I think I won this one by one game. So, by the way, now 10 weeks in, we have picked the exact record. We are tied, deadlocked.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find another podcast or group of people that do picks that have 50-50 down the middle.
We do 10 a week. It's a lot, yeah. But you are up now 6-4 to 1. That I needed that win. I didn't need you to win 70% of the weeks. That would have been.
And you know what else happened? My fantasy football team won again this week.
How?
So we're going on a 3-game win. I don't know if I told you I was 0-7 the first. Yeah. And so now we're 3-7. We are on the come up, and I might not. I think our fantasy punishment is I would have to set up a lemonade stand outside of the Skellig in Dallas and sell lemonade, and then all of the proceeds go to buying everybody drinks at the bar, which is kind of a fun punishment, honestly. It went really well the last year.
If I was a Texas Tech fan, I'd be like, of course you go to Skellig. Of course the Dallas girl goes to Skellig.
It's because we don't go to Skellig. It's at Skellig because it's the fantasy football punishment.
Here's the deal. Just put La Casa in the lemonade, and you'll be the most popular person on that street corner.
I think that's illegal to sell alcoholic lemonade outside of a bar. But
you're probably right. Okay, let's make our picks, and maybe I'll sell lemonade outside of Northgate if I don't win this pick'em contest. Okay, here are our 10 this week. I don't think Louisville's ranked number 9 because I think last I checked, they got beat this week. The rankings changed today. She sent us the – okay, so Clemson – Clemson at Louisville. Clemson, they had a big win this week against FSU.
They're 19 now.
Okay, so she just typed the 9 wrong. So Clemson at Louisville, who you got in that one?
I'm going to go Louisville.
I think Clemson's playing better. I think this is where Dabo Swinney just kind of salvages his job and gives Clemson fans a glimmer of hope going into next year, which they should not have, by the way. I'll go Clemson. Notre Dame, number 10 at number 24, Pitt.
I'm picking this because I need this to happen. Pitt. Going Pitt.
Yeah, I'm going to go Notre Dame on that one. I think they're just...
You need Notre Dame because you need strength of schedule. We need Pitt because we need Notre Dame to fall. So...
yeah, that would drop them out of the mix of a 9-3 Texas would finish ahead of them for sure. I'm going to go Notre Dame. I think you just gave me a game. I'll take it. We'll go. We don't really save these. Okay. Oklahoma at Bama. Tuscaloosa.
You know what I'm picking? I'm picking Bama here. Like I said, I think Oklahoma looks better than they did against Texas. I think they've improved slightly.
Upset. upset
I don't
alert.
think Alabama loses to OU 2 years straight.
I'm picking OU. I think there's something about that matchup that's problematic for DeBoer and Bama. I'm going to go OU on the strength of their defense again, low scoring. That's the one everybody's going to laugh at, and I might get it right. Iowa at USC. Number 20 Iowa at number
This one's a
19
good one.
USC.
That's close. I don't want to pick all the favorites this week.
I'm gonna go.
What did Iowa do last week?
Who are you going with? USC's coming.
I'm saying, what did Iowa do last week?
Iowa lost a last second game at home to Oregon.
Oh.
And USC, who'd they beat? They beat Northwestern. They beat them up.
Oh, Iowa's unranked now.
Yeah. These rankings.
And USC's 17.
I'm gonna go.
You go first this one.
I'm gonna go Iowa up to bounce back. I don't know why. I haven't trusted SC this year either. They've got a playoff hope. SC does. Iowa's ended on Saturday, but I don't think
I'm going USC then. I'm going based on the hopes of being in the playoff. And
I picked OU. You picked Lincoln Riley.
I picked my favorite guy in the world, Lincoln Riley, who broke the hearts of my least favorite people in the world.
Mississippi State at Mizzou.
That could be funny.
I'm going to go Mississippi State against that backup QB, Zollers.
I think I'm going to go Mississippi State too.
Yeah, I think,
they get the monkey off their back one more time.
Yeah, I think they're the better team.
They got a lot of tools. They're a better team. They're not a good enough team to beat Georgia, but I
just think Mizzou's going through it right now. That injury. They weren't that Pribula wasn't that good.
But a Mizzou loss will make one of your wins look not as good.
Yeah, I'm honestly like.
But it doesn't matter at this point because you've won all of them. So
yeah, if A&M wins Saturday, they're going to be a top 4 seed or they're going to be 5 or 6. I don't think the schedule at this point, will matter much. Florida at Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's the easiest one of the week, I think. They ruined Ole Miss's season last year. Lane Kiffin's petty as hell. I think Florida quit last week.
Lane Kiffin cracks me up.
Yeah, he's funny.
Week in and week out.
Florida quit last week, and they benched Lagway. That thing's falling apart. That's the easiest pick of the week. Arkansas at LSU. That one interests me a little bit. Arkansas coming off a bye. Has LSU quit? Did they bench Nussmeier? They took him out for Van
going LSU. I just don't think you can go as low as to lose to Arkansas.
I think they can, and I think they will. And I think Arkansas and Taylon Green and Bobby Petrino, lucky for you guys.
Just love Bobby Petrino.
Lucky for you guys, he gets it out of his system.
And then comes into Austin on a high and loses. I don't hate that. I don't hate that prediction.
So I'm doing there. And then TCU at BYU.
I'm going BYU. TCU has let me down one too many times this year. My Fort Worth
I agree with you.
Have been letting me down. I've been trying to cheer for. I don't really have a team to cheer for in the Big 12 anymore because I used to cheer for Oklahoma State. So I'm going back to my Fort Worth roots, and they've been letting me down.
I actually think BYU, they're in quicksand, like you said. I think this loss to Tech hit them hard. I think they're out.
I still think they win.
I
don't think.
I'm going TCU, and now we're picking South Carolina at A&M. We've talked about this. I think we both know where we're picking.
I think we're picking A&M here.
Okay, and then finally, the one that we probably will not pick. You've already informed. I saw what you said on Twitter, and I didn't know if that was you saying there's no way he'll pick us, or if that was you saying I won't let him because every time he's
I just don't think you'll pick us.
Okay. I didn't know if that was just you saying, I'm
not going to allow you to pick us because we keep winning when you pick
Exactly. I thought maybe you were like,
there's another one of our friends in media who picks against us more and that we have disproven multiple times this year. So I'm really hoping that he goes with his favorite team, the Georgia Bulldogs, this year.
I'm going to go with Georgia at home. All bias out of it. I think this should be a really good game. I think Texas matchups matter, and I think that Texas presents a difficult matchup for Georgia. And there are ways that Georgia is a difficult matchup for Texas. if this game were in Austin, I think I'd pick Texas. I'm going to pick Georgia at home. I think they win a close one, like 31-20, no, 27-23, 27-24 type of game.
I mean, I'm going Texas, and I don't feel great about it. Mm-hmm. But, it's one of those where, like, going into the Texas game last year, you probably picked A&M to win that one, and you didn't feel great about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I
get it. I get you.
About this game. I'm not going to pick against my team because I think that Texas could put all the pieces together. Mm-hmm. If Sark gets in his bag, I think he could figure this out and get the Georgia monkey off his back. But still, biggest test of the season. I think it's a close one. It's not one that my heart rate is going to be settled on. I might need to take one of my anxiety pills before the game even kicks off. Plenty of La Casa on tap.
Don't be mixing those now. Mixing like a little Xan and La Casa is not how we.
I'm not over here taking Xanax. I have a very light anxiety medicine that's much calmer.
Just take a half and enjoy some SEC football. It's going to be fun.
We'll be careful. We'll be responsible.
It's going to be a fun weekend of football. I think, in two giant games for the newcomers, OU and Texas, like a chance to shake up the race, man.
I saw a post, this will probably happen eventually, not going to happen this year, but the day that it's Texas versus OU in the SEC championship game is, I think, the day that the conference on Twitter implodes of just...
I think my worst...
Do you think a single fan base would be happy in the SEC about Texas and OU playing in an SEC championship game?
We almost got it last year. Imagine A&M Texas, because they would be playing a week later. That would be something. And here's another one that you could get one day, and doesn't feel like it anytime soon with where they're at. But you could also get back-to-back weeks of the Iron Bowl now with no divisions. But, I think A&M Texas is closer to happening than the Iron Bowl. But I don't think there's
I think A&M Texas is closer to happening than OU Texas or OU A&M.
Yeah, I agree. Big weekend, Amanda. Go figure out your La Casa recipe. I'll try to remember to shuttle one of those up this week, and
we need some more Blanco. We need more Reposado. We need more Anejo.
We got along too well this week.
I feel like we got along last week, and all the people liked us. So maybe y'all like this episode too.
It was 2 weeks ago we got into the big feud, and that upset everybody. And then
I know.
And then last week. They didn't like the fact that
it was Billy playing, putting your fan base in timeout for being not respectful, which I thought was hilarious. Sure normal people enjoyed it.
But they got more mad about me, like, not winning these battles as the team was winning.
No, they didn't get mad. Those are normal people just negging you. Those aren't the ones we're talking about.
I'm just telling them, we've leveled up. These are some good battles. We are agreeing a lot more than we have in the past. And just get ready.
He's having a lot more fun than he was in July.
Yes, he is. And that game is coming. We will be battling here in a couple weeks, especially
we will be in Austin. It will be a fun one.
Especially if you guys go win in Athens. So we'll see how it goes. We'll have a lot to talk about next week. I'm Billy.
I'm Amanda.
And we are...
Moving Goalposts.
Yes, we are.